Welcome to Cannabis School. I'm your host, Jesse Angeles.
And I'm Brandon Elder.
And we're here to talk to you about everything pertaining to cannabis, from vape,
flower,
edibles,
strains,
and everything in between. All right, kids, welcome back. We've got another strain that we wanted to be able to touch on. This is a local grow. Brandon?
Oh, today is Betty Wellness. It's a Super Lemon G.
Super Lemon G.
Yeah, delicious flower. Honestly, I'm going to say it was pretty dry. The flower itself for Utah, for even what we've had recently,
Right.
I felt the bud was really dry.
Which is kind of strange because, you know, with Dragonfly, it's a love-hate. What's up?
You know what I bet it was?
What?
It was before harvest. So I think that was in the batch right before harvest batch. So it probably was old flowers, older buds, nearing the end of their last batch. So it's potentially that could be why it had that.
Was it on sale?
It's possible. It might have been $45 for the eighth.
Yeah, so it's probably on sale. You know, and that, well, no, that's probably standard price for that one. And that typically happens when you, and a lot of people out there can attest to that. When you're getting different strains, depending on the time of year, it can be affected too. Because you got to think about when's their last harvest, when did they last plant? Because that's going to give you a better indication of how fresh it is. Because Dragonfly flower that we've had, because we're so close to it, it's always fucked up my grinder unless it's got sharp
so
teeth.
sticky.
Yeah,
it's very sticky. Yeah.
like that one. The music box.
The music
one?
box one.
The music box is great for Dragonfly flower.
Okay.
And for vaporizer flower. And the reason why I say that is that the stash and that Molinoke, I don't even know how to pronounce that.
Onrock?
Onrock.
I think it was someone said it was like a silent G or like a hidden
Onrock.
Something that we couldn't tell in the actual logo because it's interesting style.
Yeah, pro tip, if you're naming your product, make it easy to remember.
And read. If people can't read what it says on there, they're going to go, what the hell is that?
Well, unless it was like, the native language from like Sweden or something like that.
Oh, yeah, it's Sweden.
Right? So if it was like Sweden or German, Auf Wiedersehen. Right.
Super Lemon G.
Wow.
Not quite hazy, but not like perfectly clear-headed. I will say it is a little bit that you feel in your head.
I feel it right behind my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it gives you a little bit of the slant.
Oh, yeah. Jesse's really good at getting the slant. I feel like a lot of strains slap him in the face that he's like, you can tell when it hits.
Yes, and I've already got slanted eyes to begin with. It looks like I'm fucking sleeping while I'm talking to you. I think that's birds.
It's very possible. I feel like it goes to the bowl decently quick.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I love the feeling I'm getting on this, even though it's really behind the eyes, and it's more akin to what we've been getting. I call Eddie eyes. Eddie eyes are this feeling you get behind your eyes or around your eyes, your eyelids, like close to where your eyelashes are.
Okay.
I always feel that they're slightly sensitive when I have an edible.
Okay, or like you are more aware of sensations in that area.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm more tactile sensitive. With edibles, I am tactile sensitive. So we're going to have another review, but we're going to do one straight up on edibles. We're going to be doing a lot more edible ones, so we'll eat a while before, and then
definitely a while before.
Yeah, to feel a little bit. I mean, just to understand like what's actually happening.
And like where we're experiencing it, what that experience is like. I mean, recently we've been rocking some nano-infused THC edibles.
Yeah.
That I've
Sugar high.
I've been feeling. I've felt them. So with like 200 milligrams, that is fantastic.
Oh,
so,
dude, speaking of fantastic, so Super Lemon G, one of the great things I like about this already is that it is not a dry mouth strain.
Yeah, it's not super cotton mouth.
None.
And my body feels relaxed. Like,
very aware. It's behind the eyes, but I'm going to say it gives you what is formerly known as red eye, or, you know, I'm just going to say it, chink eye, right? Because that's what they used to say. It actually gives you kind eyes.
kind eye.
Right? I like that better. Because kind eyes means that, hey, be kind with me. I'm a little high right now.
Well, it's like I went to Costco. I'm not sure if everywhere around the nation or around the globe has the same shortage as we do, but there's been no fucking eggs anywhere.
Dude, I did find eggs.
Well,
Smiths.
Yeah, I got a dozen over at Smith's.
Yeah. But yeah,
but,
Costco
like,
still doesn't have eggs.
I went back the other day, Sunday. I went back Sunday, and I walk in, and literally the only thing that I'm there for is eggs. And because Costco's close to my house, Sunday's dead, I'm like, I'll run in, run out, it'll take me 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I go in, and I'm like, it's Sunday. I'm a little elevated. I'm enjoying my day. I have my sunnies on still, because they're not super tinted. And I'm walking through, and they don't have the eggs. So I walk out, and I'm heading out the door, and the lady who checks your receipt looks at me and goes, "You look like you're up to something." Because I just have this like smile on my face, sunny's on, my hands are in my pocket, and I'm just like walking out, and she's like, "You look like you're up to something." I walk over to her and I was like, "No, you guys are just still out of eggs." And she's like, yeah, we are. I really just wanted to say, I'm a little high and I'm enjoying my day. Like,
Dude.
You should be too, but I didn't. And so I just,
I usually I don't know, I think it's age, dude. I am so much more like direct and honest.
yeah.
Like, I fucked up with my friend. Like, she got engaged.
Mhm.
And I'm all, yeah. And I mispronounced her fiance's last name.
Okay.
I put Curtis instead of Clark.
Oh, okay.
And I said, yeah, blah, 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 Clark. And I said, that's got a good sound to it. She goes, Curtis. I say, blah, 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 Curtis. And she goes, Clark. It's Clark. And I'm like, I smoke pot. And then I put the emoji of the guy going like this. And she just laughed. So I started doing that. Like, I was at church one time and I forgot somebody's name. And they go, dude, we've talked like many times. I'm like, I smoke pot. And then they all laughed and they moved past it. So it's just like, dude, that's the next one. Like, I have a podcast. It's like, if you say something dumb or maybe like you're up to something, I smoke pot. They go, oh.
Honestly, there was something, was it a book or a podcast or something that I was listening to, and they were talking about how most people, like, we're so in our heads, we're so focused and nervous about, like, what we just said.
Yeah.
We slip up, we make a mistake, and we're instantly on our head, like, they probably think I am so stupid.
Yeah.
And literally all they're thinking is, like, whatever the hell is going on in their head at that moment. And half the time, they don't even notice until we go, oh man, I'm so stupid, or whatever, and then they're like, wait,
Right.
what? But it was talking about how we just need to learn to laugh at ourselves and at those situations, and everyone else will just laugh along with it and move on. But it's not as big of a deal as we feel like it is. But inside, it's eating us up, like, oh my gosh, everyone just saw that mistake, or that whatever that I did, or I spoke incorrectly and said a word that's not a real word.
Right.
Like, how many times do we do that just in everyday conversation? It's like,
And I used to get offended when somebody would correct me, because it gives you this feeling of that you're not smart enough, you're not enough.
yeah.
But the other time, I just started doing this now, where when somebody, if I mispronounce a word, they'll correct me, and I'm all, thank you. And I just keep
Right.
going on.
Yeah.
And now they don't feel, because you create that moment where it could be there. And I tend to not correct people because I know what they meant. And if I don't know what they meant, going, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, because then you can clarify.
Yeah.
And it's
Instead
like,
of saying, though,
hey, I don't quite understand.
is that
So-
English? Because that would be fucked up.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That'd be totally
I
fucked
only
up.
do that to my friends, or like Emily.
Yeah.
Emily gave me shit all the time because, well, I used to say, boughten isn't, like, you don't say I bought it. but I would use that sometimes in my phrase, and I'm like that, and she's like bottom, and I'm like, oh yeah. So now I give her shit when she says word because
she did that.
Yeah,
She went
gave
that
me shit
extra
for it.
step.
But she also went to college for English. Her degree is in English, and I'm like, well, I didn't graduate college. Yeah, I went to college, but I didn't see value in it for me personally, so I didn't finish. But she did, and so I enjoy giving her shit about it because she gives me shit about it. You know, but that's just kind of our love language in some aspect. You know, like fucking with each other.
Well, dude, you brought up a really good point right before, and that's, you know, some of the things like it could be called some of the things that I teach with individuals and companies, it's part of the Chris Voss's Never Split the Difference. And what you described is called an accusation audit. So the best way to be able to diffuse it is just call out the white elephant in the room. So one thing that I heard was just great to do, especially if you run late. I am habitually late.
What?
Habitually
No.
late. But you know what? That's never changed. And a lot of the behaviors that I have, and individuals who have the same behaviors as me, we work on that a lot. And if we're cognizant, and I am very cognizant of it now, so I feel very guilty when I'm late. But before, I had no concept of time. None. I'm just like,
Which is so weird to me. Like but
that's
everyone's
you.
mind works differently.
Yeah, your behaviors are different from your personality. Because your personality, you can change. I mean, that's where you get CIA operatives from. They can blend into the local area and become somebody else.
Because it's just a personality.
Yeah, it's just a personality. You're creating a facade, but the behaviors are bone deep. And so it's like, it's not a bad thing.
Because it's just so ingrained into who we
Right.
are. That it's 90% of it is subconscious. It's not us conscious doing it.
We're
It's
just reading the reactive.
Yeah, it's so ingrained into who we are that
It's like muscle memory.
yeah, exactly. That's all it is. And so it's like our muscles just do that because, well, 37 years or 45 years, like these amount of years in our lives, like that's a lot of muscle memory to have these reactions.
Well, it's like the term like gay. You know, like back in the day, what didn't mean homosexual.
No,
it just
happy,
meant that something was lame.
But yeah, well, it went from happy back in the day, like ages ago, to being, oh, that's dumb. It wasn't ever like, oh, well, they're gay, they're a homosexual, and that together.
Well, they came from just unusual happiness or something like that. That's how they dictate it. But even then, dude, like, where did the negative word come that's now used in a positive sense in that community? Queer. Queer meant off.
Right?
Not
or
right.
Strange, peculiar, like something different.
Yeah,
and it's
like queer, like a three-headed cat.
Faggot was a bundle of sticks.
Yeah, or cigarettes in England.
Yeah,
like,
a fag was a cigarette.
So it's funny because the lexicon changes, but
changes all the time.
It becomes a behavioral pattern. It becomes a cultural thing or a subculture. Yeah. It's usually subcultures that get into that. But anyway, I'm going too deep there. But
it's not a good focus strain.
No,
I like
this
the
is a
feeling.
water strain.
I like the experience. I don't think this is a get work done, be productive. This is like fuck around with your friends.
This is like walking around the supermarket.
Yeah, just
probably buying one thing, but you've been there for an hour.
Enjoying whatever you're doing, whatever moment, but not specifically directed at one thing.
No. You know? Oh, okay. I'm gonna go back to the original idea before I went off on that crazy ass tangent. Okay. But the cool thing is, like, when you show up late to something, you don't say, I'm sorry I'm late. You say, I appreciate you waiting for me. And it changes the dynamic of how they perceive you and interact with you. So I tried it. I was late on purpose meeting with my friend who thinks he's like me too, but he's you 100%. And I'm like, oh, cool. Well, I'm going to show up late just to see what he does.
Just to fuck with him.
Because if he's like me, it's like if I showed up late to hang out with McLean would be like, oh, well, you're right on time.
Yep.
Because every time
is right on time.
Yeah, exactly. It's part of an optimistic outlook constantly. Octagons are like that. They're just always optimistic. Well, things will work out. And people are like, the fuck you talking about? Everything's on fire. Yeah, we just gotta look for an exit. Oh, hey, we're right over here, guys. Like, they're just super casual about it. But, so I showed up late, and I didn't send him a text or anything, right? I really wanted to test it. I told him after that I did. But when I showed up, I said, hey, I appreciate you waiting for me. And he was like, oh, yeah, no problem. He immediately changed because he was pissed at me. And then I said, hey, man, I was late on purpose, and this is why.
I just wanted to fuck with you.
I totally was it because you're telling me that this is who you are. But that's not who you are. And I've noticed some of the flaws in the system, and Kim and I are working on fixing those. Because the perception is not the projection.
I think that's most people.
Yeah,
that's most people.
But it's again, that's why I like this system so much. It just makes you more self-aware of you. And so you're like, oh, yeah, I don't have to be right. And that's hard for me sometimes because I just know a lot of shit. And it just stays in there.
I know, yeah.
But at the same time, it's not for me to be right. Because that's not my goal. I just enjoy the conversation.
Yeah.
But then in the way, I get competitive. Like, you know how competitive I can be.
Well, there's fun in competition. It can be. Like, there's very healthy competition. But then there's also unhealthy competition and sore losers and sore winners and, like, people who rage. Like, there's all this stuff that it's like, okay, well, it's just not emotional regulation.
Yeah. Getting pissed off. What the fuck, man? Why did you shoot me?
Because they didn't learn emotional regulation and they let a game get under their skin. It's like, at the end of the day, it's literally a game.
Dude, back in the day on Call of Duty when I actually used to play that and everybody was talking.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, every time I would die, I'd go, aw, poo.
I would shit talk so much because people would talk shit, but the thing is, I was always used to getting picked on and I was always a small person, so I got really thick skin and a smart ass mouth. And what better place to put you than behind a headset, as all you do is kill people and then teabag them? Like,
yeah.
You know, especially if they're an asshole, then you're like, okay, well, now I'm intentionally only going to kill you. You are going to die every time from now on.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, but then it's just, you know, it's these things of just doing it from a fun, joking, happy, like, yeah, I'm just gonna fuck you.
Yeah, I'm competitive on the side where either you're coming along or you're just gonna be dead, and that's fine. Like, I'm not gonna be yelling at you like, dude, where the fuck were you? Like, I found myself many times like in an online match of Insurgency where I'm the only one left alive. And nobody can talk to me, which I love that. So I start talking shit when everybody's dead. I'm like, fuck, guys left me all here? I'm just gonna talk to myself then. Hey, you fucking idiots. I'm right over here. And then the guys are like, what? The funniest thing is the shit talking button that you could put on Insurgency. You click on insult and it goes, hey, go fuck yourself. And then the other guy goes, what?
Yeah.
But dude, I don't get toxic competition. I'm just like, I'm gonna win. And sometimes I just I have to win. And it's proven to me, like, and this was a behavior that I have been working on a lot. And this resulted in my body being fucked up. I tore my ACL because I refused to quit. The shoulder, refused to quit.
That's
fucked up my neck.
Every time playing sports, in basketball, every time I had a sprained ankle, it was like, well, cool. I'll just pop like a Loratab and throw in a brace and go play. Win soccer. I fucked up my knee, and I know that because when it first started, the very first times, I was like, oh, it's fine. I played on it until I couldn't walk. And then I did it the next week. And then I did it the next week. And then it got to the point that it was like, well, I've learned that I can play soccer, but I can only play for about 45 minutes of the game if I take a Loratab before the game. And then About 45 minutes in, I can't walk anymore because whatever's wrong with my knee, I didn't ever go fix. I just wanted to keep playing. And I never stopped to actually go take care of myself and do it. So now my knee, years later, is still fucked because I just wanted to win. I wanted to play. I wanted to I was competitive.
I was just around guys that were always like, well, I did martial arts all growing up, so I was all around a bunch of like pretend alpha males, like very few alphas in there, but a lot of them thought that way, and so they would compensate for that one by being harder on you and pushing you harder. I mean, the stories of me doing martial arts training, people go, nah, that's fiction. But dude, all growing up, I did that, and I came back from the military, and I was like, I'm going to start up again with the old school I was at. And when I got in there, I was shocked because, in lack of better words, everybody was fucking pussies. They're all putting on pads and they're putting mats on the ground. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like,
yeah, what are you guys doing?
When I trained here, like, the only padding you had was the cloth that laid on your skin.
And if you were lucky enough to have fat or muscles.
Oh, dude, you went and you only progressed if you could show, like, I mean, you had to,
because it's the work that gets you better.
Well,
and
right. I mean, that's why a lot of people
nowadays, who puts in work?
Yeah, well, dude, it's why, like, the addiction to jiu-jitsu, because jiu-jitsu doesn't matter if you've memorized a bunch of moves. What matters is the time and the patience that you can have on the mat and the creativity you're always looking for to set up a submission goes a lot further. And that's the time on the mat and the attention and the skill that you're able to do, but the wisdom to know how much pressure to apply. And that's difficult. But today, man, like, that's only jiu-jitsu schools, I feel like. Muay Thai schools just beat the shit out of their kids, and karate schools, I don't know what the fuck is going on over there, but it's not the same. Dude, I put my kids in Taekwondo, and we pulled them out after 3 months. I was like, and even, I didn't even have to say anything. I mean, I was like, yeah, give them a base. Like, it's really hard for kids under martial artists to want to learn what underneath their parents, because I can't push my kids the way that I would push my students.
No, and I feel like a lot of parents, for some reason, there's like a disconnect between the kid and the parent in trying to teach them. Sometimes it is easier to have that third party to actually do that instead.
That's what I've really liked about the shapes, because now I know how I am, and I know when I'm going into a bad area. So I'm like, oh, cool. Don't talk about that. Like, you notice now, I know when I'm going on a tangent, and I'll stop myself and say, I'm going on a tangent, because I didn't have that type of control before, because I just keep going. And that's just my mind. My mind's always like, hey, but that's what's wonderful about cannabis. And I mean, a strain like this definitely is not a good idea to have, like, let's talk about business and where we're going. Like, be like, you want to talk about random shit? Like, why do these people have this phone number over here and they don't have the area code in front of it? Like, that's how long ago it was.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Every time I see that, though, I know exactly what it is, because we grew up here. And
yeah.
I know that everyone here on the OG was an 801.
Yeah, it was all 801.
But hey, thanks for tuning in.
Yep.
Thanks for this random ass conversation. As we checked out Super Lemon G. If you guys have Super Lemon G in your area, at your pharmacy, at your dispensary, let us know your thoughts. What is your thoughts on Super Lemon G? Do you get way more of the limonene terpenes and that I would have expected from a lemony strain?
Yeah.
Let us know, and tune in next week.
Now, as always, guys, take care.